Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
A husband and wife were shopping in their local supermarket. The husband picks up a case of Budweiser and puts it in their cart. "What do you think you're doing?" asks the wife. "They're on sale, only $10 for 24 cans, he replies. "Put them back. We can't afford them," demands the wife. They carry on with their shopping. A few aisles further on, the woman picks up a $20 jar of face cream and puts it in the basket. "What do you think you're doing?" asks the husband. "It's my face cream. It makes me look beautiful," replies the wife. Her husband retorts, "So does 24 cans of Budweiser, and it's half the price." They found the husband lying face down on aisle 5. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning. Man down on aisle 5. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include, of course, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. Good morning, lovely Gina Jameson.
Okay, so did that scenario play out with you and Deanne? I just have to ask.
No, I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
I have a beautiful wife, and if she wants to buy that face cream and put it in the grocery basket at $20 a jar, that is more than fine with me, because a guy like me on crutches, I can't outrun her.
No, and so if she tells you no on the Budweiser, are you going to put it back?
There's a comment to be made there, but she as yet hasn't reined me in on any particular bad habits.
Okay, but that was funny.
Yeah, I thought I was man down on aisle 5.
Thanks for putting me in a good mood this morning.
You know what? We both needed that.
No, we did both need that.
Yeah.
We did.
It was one of those weekends to where if you were going to get arrested for a bad temper, they'd have given us both 30 years.
I think so, too. But you know what? We made it through.
We did. Here we are. Do we have a pledger?
We have Al on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
I want to talk to my old buddy first of all, and that's Al. Give us the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Al, I just want to say that prayers and the power of prayer work, because we've been praying very hard for your lovely wife, Polly, and she's doing much better according to what we've heard, and God's blessings to her and you.
Yeah, you take aisle 5, but I'll have diet root beer in aisle 6, please.
God bless you, Al. Thanks so much.
Keep your chin up, guys. Everything's going to get better.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the weather forecast on a Monday morning, and we're very blessed to have MichaelRogersWeather.com brought to you by Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. What a beautiful place. Michael's been there, and he shot a lot of pictures of the operation, all the trees, the bushes, the shrubs, everything. It's a beautiful place for you to beautify your home. Stop in and see him today. Rock Creek Growers in Kimberly. And right now, here is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey, Bill, what's up with the Packers? Is there a problem?
Mucho problem. They better get rid of defensive coordinators and try to get rid of some of the defensive players and get their attitude out of the way and start playing football. Enough said, thank you.
My goodness. Morning, everybody.
Terrible.
All Monday as we start a brand spanking new week of you, me, and weather. We got wet weather on the way for the remainder of the week. Nice day today, 69 for the high, 49 for the overnight low, and then it'll get wet, and it'll stay wet all the way to Thursday night going into Friday. Slight chance of showers on Friday. Fall is here, and here we go, rocking and rolling. Later on in the week, once I get all my ducks in a row and talk to all the proper people and get some kind of consensus on our winter forecast for 2013-2014, I'll be more than happy to share that with you. I will give you a heads up, though. It's not looking good as far as water is concerned, but I'm going to break it down for you and have a complete analysis from where I sit coming up later in the week. Otherwise, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, there is the best weatherman going down the road today, and that's MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Rock Creek Growers. All your trees, shrubs, everything for the beautification of your home, many of which are 40% off right now at Rock Creek Growers. And they're easy to find, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. You stop in and see them today. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away, I promise. I want to remind everybody about Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I just was over there the other day and picked up about, 73 racks of clothes that I'd taken in there since rodeo season. Oh, my goodness sakes. And they do a wonderful job. Everything looks brand spanking new. They are the best. Don't forget to stop in today to Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. And first off, let me say thank you so much for the awesome job you did on our POW program.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much.
We could not have done it without you.
Well, it was a very special occasion, and I'm proud to have been there for 5 out of the 6, and hats off to you and George and everybody that helped put it on, because it was a really nice event.
You betcha. And I just wanted to tell everybody thank you that was part of it. You know, the bikers did an awesome job.
Oh, my, yes.
It's an awesome feeling when that ground rumbles as those bikes pull into town.
Oh, I got to be quite frank with you. Anybody that would come up to me and maybe say something derogative about bikers and the Harleys and everything, they're going to have a pretty good argument on their hand with me, because I'll tell you what, I saw the patriotism. I saw the tears in their eyes. I saw really Americans right there. And when they crammed those engines up a little bit and went boom, 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 man, I tell you what, I was a bubbling little baby. I just really liked that.
Yep, they're an awesome bunch of guys.
Yes, they are.
One bad apple can't spoil the whole bunch.
Absolutely.
In
Absolutely.
any kind of a situation.
Yep.
But it was an awesome weekend. The concert gave me a headache because it was a little bit loud.
Yeah, but that's what concerts are about.
Oh, I know. But it was an awesome turnout. I was really impressed. But anyway, I just wanted to call in and say thank you to you and your lovely wife, because we know without her you couldn't do a lot of the things you do.
No, that's no question about that.
And for everybody who helped out with the booth and, showing up to show their support, thank you so much.
All right. Well, Donna, thank you for your call. That means a lot. Thanks.
You betcha. Have a great day.
You too. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget SafeLink Wireless High-Speed Internet. Now you're saying, well, yeah, but I don't know. Well, I do know, and I'll guarantee you better check it out. Free professional installation, new high-speed internet packages available, and I'll tell you what, no data limits and no contracts required. You better call them today, 677-8000, 677-8000. We have been very happy with the service and the professionalism they display. Call Shane today, 677-8000, SafeLink Wireless High-Speed Internet working for you. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to just say a couple of quick notes. SCOW's CarQuest Centers are going to be going back on the air around the 1st of October, and we're going to be answering a lot of your driving questions. Hang on a second, I got to fly here. Ha! I missed him, doggone it. By the way, quickly, did you know, and this is my own little scientific survey, if you can prove me wrong, let me know. But when you're aiming at a fly with a fly swatter, and Gina, you can look this up because this is my own personal opinion. When you're aiming at a fly with a fly swatter, most of the time, flies will tend to go to the right to get away from you.
See, I've always noticed that they go backwards to the left.
No, I'm going to stick with my right theory.
Are you going to stick with your?
I'm going to stick with my right theory. I think we have most of the flies here in Murtaugh go to the right.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm making a political joke. I mean, come on.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking literally.
Went over your head there.
It did totally. Yeah. Totally over my head.
All right. Well, it wasn't worth much anyway, I guess.
We've got Adrian on the phone.
I'll take that call in just a minute. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Tater harvest is in full swing, and Ramsey Heating and Electric ready to meet all your needs for your cords, cord ends, fuses, every piece of equipment that needs power. Ramsey's going to have it for you. Hats off to farmers, salute to agriculture. Free popcorn and pop just right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. The very best of people and all you need electrical at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. Get ready for those skyrocketing power rates. Paper today, Idaho Power waits for EPA rules on existing plants. Well, I can guarantee you they want to put all coal-fired plants, which provides actually close to 50% of our nation's power. So, the EPA rules are all Agenda 21. And the Idaho Power, nobody wants to take this on, this whole global warming, climate change hoax. I mean, we're doing all of this for nothing.
Yeah, but stop right there. Adrian, just a minute. Stop right there. This is where I absolutely am livid, and I think you're going to agree with me. The American public, I think, realizes that global warming is a joke and a hoax, and it's absolutely a perpetrated fraud. But the government is going ahead as if it's the real meal deal, and we are suffering, and nobody's standing up for we the people to fight back.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything from our congressional delegation to fight this. Nothing
I agree.
From our congressmen or either of our senators. It just really frosts me. There's only a handful of people back there. Imhoff from Oklahoma, Senator Imhoff he's put out a 600-page report years ago on the whole global warming hoax. And yet we just move along like this is fact, and it's just, we are going to pay through the nose. We had a 15% rate increase 1st of June. And if you noticed your power bills, of course, it was a hot summer, but part of that was because of the big rate increase. Now, what are the alternative energies they're going to have?
They don't have any. They don't have any.
There are none that are going to replace the Volney and Fort Bridger. And so we're going to just have to hunker down, use a lot less, and suffer because of nothing.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I'm not going to let you go on too long on this because I got a bunch of commercials, but I will say this. You're spot on, and I want to get you on the program. I left a message on your phone to talk about this.
I'll be there Wednesday at 10.
All right, let's hold our bullets for then, because I'll guarantee you know what's going on with this agenda. You know what's going on with the EPA. You know what's going on with the cutback in our power, but there's one thing you don't know, and nobody knows. Where are we going to get the power to supplant what they're taking away from the coal industry? And that's the scary thing. Nobody knows.
No, there is no replacement.
That's
really.
right.
I mean, there's only so much natural gas. But it's just, folks, wake up, get hold of our congressional people and tell them to stop this fraud and this hoax called global warming climate change.
Amen.
It's part of the big... It's the poster child for the global warming, I should say, for the Agenda 21 United Nations program.
I agree. Adrian, I'll talk to you on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Later. Have a great day.
Thank you. Valley White Home and Ranch, oh my goodness sakes, they've got all the steer feed. They've got everything over there for your livestock needs. And don't forget, too, that they've got a great big fishing section. I know a bunch of guys that are going fishing up to Henry's Lake, and of course I didn't get invited because I'm still a member of the workforce. But anyway, I know they're out there and they're going to have a ripping good time up there this week, and they're probably going to catch some 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 pounders. At least they're going to tell me that. Anyhow, they've got all kinds of fishing equipment over there at Valley White Home and Ranch. They've got all your clothing, and by the way, all the Carhartt clothing, the vests, the jackets, everything, Valley White Home and Ranch. 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those really, really nice folks today. By the way, today is the 23rd of September. So what does that mean? That means that this Wednesday, we are going to be at Perkins Restaurant for our lunch bunch. I'm telling you all this because I want you to be there. We're going to have some special birthdays, and we just want you to be at, of course, Perkins Restaurant. Now, it's 11:30, just like we always did. Got a great big room. Everybody can sit together. Everybody's going to enjoy each other. I'm telling you, there's no excuse not to be there. They've got a fantastic menu of specials to choose from, so come on down to Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley, where they believe in being best buds with your taste buds. That's this coming Thursday, the 26th, for lunch bunch. All right, give me some calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a question for you folks this morning. We are seeing a real personality change with Obama, little by little, every day. And the evilness, if you will, in his eyes and the attitude with which he's putting forth. Now, I want to understand this. Obama is going to be sitting down in today, very possibly with terrorist nation Iran and its devil-eyed president, and he's going to try to negotiate, again, with this devil from Iran. Well, I certainly hope, and I pray, that he will also say, okay, Iranian President Rouhani, let Pastor Abedini from Boise come home. No negotiation, just make him come home today. His wife, Naghmeh Abedini, was on my program. I think I was the only one to have her on radio, along with her attorney, a couple of months ago. Well, she was on Fox News New York this morning at 4:45 and pleading to President Obama to please tell Iranian President Rouhani to let her husband come home. But I wonder, will Obama even ask? Will Obama even ask? Now, he's going to be sitting down, and this is where I think this man is such a fraud and a phony, talking about Obama. He's going to negotiate with terrorist nation Iran and the President Rouhani, but he won't negotiate. He won't negotiate with our own Congress on a debt ceiling. And then he gets this Chicago punkish attitude. If you didn't hear it, it just made the back of my neck, the hair stand up when he said, they want to mess with me, meaning Congress. They want to mess with me. Kind of a Chicago punk attitude. You know, Obama talks this big, tough routine with us, and he's nothing more than an appeaser and capitulator to the foreign governments around the world. What are your thoughts? I would be willing to bet that he does not. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to get on the radio and apologize and say, I was wrong. He brought it up to President Rouhani about letting Saeed Abedini go. Well, I'm not wrong yet, because I don't think he's going to ask. I don't think he's going to look him in the eye and demand that they let that pastor from Boise, Idaho, go from Iran. I was really upset last week on this program when a misinformed, ill-informed, and not informed gentleman said, well, he shouldn't have been there in the first place. That man was welcome to go over initially and try to set up an orphanage for Iranian children. And that's the attitude that people need to be more aware of what's going on in the world before they shoot off their big mouth in negativity against anything. Pastor Abedini, a Christian, was trying to help members of his former country, Iran, and children by setting up an orphanage. And for some silly, stupid, frivolous reason, the Iranian government wanted to pick on him and make a focal point out of him and put him in prison for 8 years. What for? Oh, well, setting up an orphanage. And our government hasn't done anything. Our government hasn't done anything. Lip service. Well, we'll certainly try to bring that up at the negotiating table. That doesn't cut the cake. And I'm praying, I really am praying, that Obama has the backbone, which I don't think he has, to bring this up to President Rouhani and not say, oh, please let him go, but say, let him go now. Caller, I'll be right with you. Please do not go away. I'll be right there, I promise. Don't forget, Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West Highway 27 in Paul with the Rain Key. Great pivot sales and service. Oh, yes, and they've got the best of people over there, too. Frank Jensen, Skip Hilton, Brooks West, they all know irrigation, they all know water, they all know industrial services, including the pumps and everything else. These people know. And don't forget to get in there and register for a Weber barbecue grill they're going to be giving away. Oh, my. The winner should have been announced already. I'm a little bit behind on my deal. They're having a drawing now for a 40-inch flat screen. Well, that's going to run through October 21st. Well, you can get in there and check out all the great Rankey rebates, bit my tongue, for fall at Rain for Rent, 134 South 600 West Highway 27 in Paul, 438-5065. Really great people serving you at Rain for Rent. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, Mike Simpson, I'm just beginning to turn more and more away from him. With this new commercial that he has out about how great he is.
Oh, brother.
You know, 39 times he voted against Obamacare and against this and against that. Is there truly a record on that?
Oh, there's records on all the voting. There's records on all the voting, and they have to keep those records. But I'm just getting a little bit sick and tired of the balderdash that's being put out by a lot of politicians, whether it's in regards to fighting to repeal Obamacare, or I'm fighting for your rights, or I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You know, Mike kind of shot himself in the foot, so to speak, with me when he called me and lumped me with other people that were very concerned about Muslims being appointed to this administration as McCarthyists. And you know, that stuck with me. I'm not going to, unless he apologizes to me, I really don't care if I get any of his advertisements on my program or not. And I mean that seriously. Because once you lump me into a category and say I'm a McCarthyist, and by the way, Joe McCarthy was right in his attitude, I think Mike Simpson really hurt himself here in the Magic Valley with a lot of people.
Well, let's talk about reality. Mike Simpson, you know, has become a senior congressman, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What's your point, Keith? Go ahead, quickly.
But the problem is, he's still hiding in his office. He's not out. You never hear his name in the news that he spoke to anybody about this or that or the other. He's just coasting along.
You know,
and the funny thing of it is, who have we found that could run against him that would do us any good?
There you go. Good point, Keith. And my attitude on the deal with Mike Simpson is this. And all you people out there of the Republican Party that are just absolutely shaking and quaking in your boots, oh, he's running down our candidate. I am running him down because he should have called me right away, and he should have said, Zeb, I'd like to come back on your program and discuss this issue, and I'm going to ask you the question, my dear friend. Have you heard him on my program?
He is still hiding in his office.
There you go. You know, I don't feel like I have to be the puppy dog going out and chase parked cars. And if he wants to come back on my program and he wants to discuss issues, especially this Muslim issue and other issues about how great he's doing to help defund Obamacare and how great he's doing to try to defund the EPA, come on, Mike, call me and come on this program. I'll give you the airtime. But you know something, Keith? I'm not going to be the one chasing after him.
You know, another thing, I don't think that he's ever attended a Tea Party meeting or anything like that. He is distancing himself from the people who voted for him.
Well, it sure seems like there's a distance factor, and I really do appreciate your points of interest that you brought up this morning. But I got to cut you off here because I've got a hard break at the bottom of the hour. My dear friend, it's good to hear from you as always. Thank you for your input.
Bye.
Thanks, Keith. Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hebron. We heard Jim last week on the program on Thursday telling us all about the grease guns and the grease guns grease and all the window washing and clean your air filters. That saves a lot of money, by the way. I want to tell you that. And they got all the shop towels. It's shop towels, Zeb. It's easy to say. It's a simple word. And along with the Bubba rope, they've got all the Bubba rope, and they can help pull you out if you're stuck. I mean, it's all there. Everything's there for you at Travel Loop Supply. 438-8730. They deliver the goods. Call them today. It's time now for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
The most recent state rankings for total agricultural production show that Washington and Idaho were number 2 and 3 among the 11 western states last year. California is number 1 in farm gate receipts, according to the USDA Economic Research Service. Total farm gate receipts in Washington during 2012 reached $9.6 billion, ranking the state second in the West, ahead of Idaho's $7.8 billion total. Idaho passed Colorado for the number 3 spot in 2011 with $7.4 billion in farm gate receipts and has been gaining on Washington. But while Idaho ranks third in the West for total farm gate receipts, it is an unchallenged number 1 in ag production on a per capita basis. This is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Don't forget, Pacific Steel and Recycling is 100% employee-owned and has been for over 25 years. And National Recycling Day is going to be November 15th. Stay tuned for lots of specials and free prizes and giveaways right here. Thanks to our good folks at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Call them, 678-2321. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Absolutely repulsive, disgusting. My heart goes out to the victims and their families over in Nairobi, Kenya, at a mall, a shopping mall. Over 68 people have died, possibly as many as 200 people injured. Some may be Americans. This story is ongoing. I know as I went to the program this morning, there were bomb blasts and there was smoke coming out of the mall. And I know that some SWAT teams have been sent in. And the whole thing boils down to that this is a pathetic, disgusting, Al-Qaeda-linked Muslim terrorist group that was in the mall, and they were primarily looking for non-Muslim members as targets to shoot and kill. Let me say that again. Non-Muslim members to shoot and kill. This is absolutely ridiculous, and don't think for 5 seconds that this Muslim terrorism cannot come here to this country in this form. It certainly can. Innocent people with their children, grandparents, aunts and uncles, going to a shopping mall and being subjected to terrorist activities like this with these worthless, pathetic individuals coming in and just taking their lives. You know, the other day I was listening, and this all ties together. I was listening to the news, and I heard Democrat Congressman from Tennessee, Steve Cohen, say something on the air that I stopped, I turned around, I went back and I sat in my chair, and I listened to the story about this man. And he kind of highlights the attitude of the Democratic Party when he made a disgusting comment about conservatives that we all had our guns next to our Bibles. And you know what I thought? Good for us. Good for us. You know, the face of the Democratic Party today is one of, the government will protect you, the government will take everything away from you, but the government will give back to you what they think the government thinks you should have. And when I heard that comment about most conservatives have their guns next to their Bibles, I was highly offended by that. And yes, I think I will have my gun next to my Bible. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I am about Mike Simpson, the Muslim Brotherhood. There's another reason for not voting for that guy. Check his voting record. He isn't the conservative he portrays himself to be. His voting record don't point that way. He votes for big business. That's who supports his money-wise. He don't represent the conservative people for Idaho. So why in the hell send him back to Washington, D.C. to represent us?
Well, Fred, first of all, you and I are on the same page. I mean, it's an argument that we aren't going to settle anything because we're both in agreement as to our feelings about what's going on with Mike. But there has to be, I think, a day of reckoning, and I think Mike has to step up to the plate, and if he is a better candidate, quote-unquote, than Brian Smith, then what he's got to do is he's got to try to sway all of our opinions to make sure that we do vote for him. Right now, to be very honest with you, my feelings, I guess, are a little bit anti-Mike Simpson because of his naivete of what he did to Michelle Bachmann in condemning her over asking questions about the Muslim Brotherhood being appointed to various cabinet positions and on Hillary Clinton's staff. Quite frankly, Fred, she was right, Mike was wrong.
Definitely, that it's true. But still, by the same token, his voting record stinks. You've got to agree with that.
No, I have never argued with you on that, ever. And I'm on the same page.
I'm one, too, that brought that to the light. The way he treated Michelle Bachmann was dead wrong. I read that as soon as it come out in the paper, the way he treated her. And it's going to affect us back in Washington, D.C., because Michelle Bachmann is retiring.
You know, we're losing good people that had the nerve to stand up and say what is going on, what's not going on, and who's causing the problem. And, if there's anybody out there, and I'm sure there are many that are supporters of Mike Simpson, Mike did this for us, and Mike did that for us. Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying right now is Mike has got to call me. And if he wants to come onto this program and sway my opinion and sway yours or anybody else's, I think he owes us kind of an apology for his attitude, because quite frankly, when he lumps us all together into being McCarthyist, I don't like that. Not only the fact that he called me a McCarthyist, but he's still wrong. Joe McCarthy proved to be right in the long run.
Well, he took me off his mailing list. I don't know whether you get his flyers anymore, but that's all right with me. Okay. I don't want them anyway because they're a bunch of BS. When he sent these last ones out, my son-in-law called me and said, I got a flyer in the mail that says Mike Simpson's conservative, and you've been telling me he isn't. And I said, well, bring me one.
Yeah.
And he had to dig through the trash up the post office to get it, but it wasn't his. Well, he didn't dig. He said it was right on top. And anyway, it said he was conservative.
Well, the votes aren't there to prove 100% conservatism. You know that, and I know that, as well as everybody else should know that. Fred, I got to run and do a commercial, but thank you always for giving us your call this morning. I thank you very much. Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Don't forget Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. For over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center of Burley has saved area families thousands and thousands of dollars as they've received outstanding medical care. This is first-class medical facility located at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Please call 677-8888. 677-8888. And these doctors and the entire force at Ambulatory Surgery Center really care and try to save you the money. Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have to chuckle when I say this, because if you didn't laugh at some of this stuff, it would drive you completely crazy. I'm going to tell you not to worry anymore about the NSA spying on us. Don't worry about it anymore. Nope. Just quit worrying about the NSA spying on you and me, because an independent study group has been appointed to study and investigate this studying and investigating of us. And here's why you shouldn't worry. Because the NSA has done the appointing of this independent study group. I'm not kidding you. It came out this morning that a group, independent study, and this group has been appointed by the NSA to study themselves. Oh, I get it. That's going to be a really unbiased approach as to what they're doing and how they're watching us. No concerns? And like Crocodile Dundee, no worries, mate. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. I like your attitude on Obama meeting today with Iranian President Rouhani. Really, what do you think he's going to do? And here's the situation the way I see it. I think it's going to be just another capitulation. Another, we just as soon you didn't do this. We just as soon you didn't develop any nuclear devices. We just as soon that you didn't supply more ammunition and chemical weapons to Syria. I don't think anything's going to come out of this. And unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any tough talk. There's not going to be any looking in the eye. There's not going to be any pointing the finger. Our president doesn't have the backbone for that. And I certainly don't think that he's going to ask for the immediate release and demand the immediate release of Pastor Saeed Abedini. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's on the back burner. I don't think this president and this administration will do anything to get this man home. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your phone call to come in that I know is on the way, I'm going to tell you that we're going to have a quick weather update. A lot of people have called me earlier this morning saying, what? Are we supposed to have a bunch of rain for the rest of the week? Well, MichaelRogersWeather.com is going to tell us all about it. And it's brought to you this hour by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, with Reese Widmeyer, the manager, super nice guy. It's the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. All their friendly folks that work there, quality gear, and a down-home attitude for whatever you need to be outdoors. Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls. Here now is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers of MichaelRogersWeather.com. Got a wet week as far as weather is concerned. sunny 69 for the high, clear tonight, 49 for the overnight low. And then we've got rain from Tuesday all the way through Thursday night going into Friday. As the first of many Pacific Northwest cold front storms will be plowing through our area as we get through fall and winter, but this is how we start it all off. So you got a nice day today, and it's going to be wet for tomorrow all the way till Thursday night going into Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael, and brought to you this hour by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. The great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I can just imagine what old Obama's going to do with that there so-called Iranian dictator. He's going to say, oh, we've talked enough, let's go play golf.
I'm not even going to add a facetious remark to that because I just honestly don't see what's going to happen here. I don't think that there's going to be enough of the eye-to-eye contact and the demanding. Actually, I think it's so phony and fraud, Al, I'm very concerned as to what's not going to take place.
So am I, and about that Simpson, if he's so all-fired damnation that he's going to help the EPA put a stop to it, why ain't he putting a stop to it, what they're trying to do with these coal companies and these power plants? He ain't doing a damn thing to do anything about it.
Well, I'm just really getting upset. Where's the power going to come from, Al? Where is the power going to come from? It's certainly not going to come from the untrustworthy, absolutely ridiculous cancers on the landscape, the windmills. It's certainly not going to come from solar. Please, I want to know where the power is going to come from. And you know what's going to happen, and I think you'll agree with me. Most people will not be able to pay the exorbitant prices, and I'm telling you, we're looking at hard times to come.
Yep, I believe it. Well, we got to go catch Polly.
How's she doing, by the way? Tell us quickly.
Well, I'm going to go and find out.
All right. Well, God's blessings to her and you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, Gina, are you there? She left?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Compliments to you. And your football team. You have proved to me, a naysayer that thought they were that good, and they are that good. Your Seattle Seahawks absolutely are 3-0, deservedly so. And my Green Bay Packers, and quite frankly, deservedly so, are 1-2.
Well, and on the flip side, my Vandals not doing very well, 0-4 on the season.
Yeah.
And the Broncos lost on Friday, and I was shocked about that.
1 point. No, don't be shocked about that, because Fresno State has always had a good football program, and they prove it again this year.
And if I do recall, Fresno State is a conference game, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually really, really shocked. I was. Secretly, or not so secretly, I was hoping that Fresno would win, but I was shocked that you boys 1 point. 1 point.
The one thing I wanted to mention to you, though, is I am very afraid for the future of that sport because of the mamby-pamby attitudes that are starting to prevail itself in the sport. You can't hit them here, you can't touch them there. You can't do this, you can't do that. And actually, some of the players I've talked to that I know, they've said by pulling back and worrying about the hit, they're subjecting themselves to possible injury themselves.
Yeah, so and honestly, the sport is the safest it has ever been.
Yep, that's
ever
right.
been, with all of the advancements that they've made in their safety equipment and
That's
their gear.
right.
They have trainers and doctors right there on the field with them every day, every practice. They really do take very, very good care of themselves, more so than what they did, say, 50 years ago.
You should compare, quickly, and I got a call waiting, but you should compare back the Rydell football helmets back in the 60s compared to what they are today. And then don't tell me there haven't been advancements.
Okay, so when football first started, didn't they have just leather helmets?
Yeah, they pulled on a piece of cowhide and went out and just really bashed heads.
I know, and now they're made with a polycarbonate, substance with all of these foam paddings on the inside, and they're meant to protect, and so these guys are well protected, and so just leave the sport as it is, please, from one fan to another.
There you go. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. When you were talking about the NSA and how they appointed their own choosing to investigate it,
Mm-hmm.
how about the person whose chickens are disappearing? And guess who they hire? the Fox to watch it.
Amen. Amen. Doesn't this bother you a little bit? Doesn't this really kind of scare you a little bit?
It scares me a lot, trust me. I've been around a long time, and these are really worrisome times as far as the way our government is acting, and a president who doesn't have any backbone and is scared of everybody and wants everybody to be his friend.
Let me ask you a question, Keith. Now, I don't mean to be rude. Please, if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. But how old are you right now, if you don't mind my asking?
76.
Okay, well, you're 10 years older than I am. I'm going to be 66 in 2 weeks. Now, think back 10 years and think back 20 years. And can you honestly say that you anticipated this kind of government control, this kind of government reaction, this kind of government capitulation, that we would be bowing and kowtowing to other nations, we would be the laughingstock of the world, and we used to be, boy, carry a big stick and use it if we had to, but I don't see that anymore.
Why don't we just go dig up President Reagan? He doesn't have to say anything, just be our president. And I think things will go just as well as they are with Obama, if not better.
Interesting analogy there, sir. Thank you. God bless you for your call. I do appreciate it, as always.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, you know something? The thought behind that's probably not a bad idea. I just am absolutely sick and tired of this administration doing nothing, saying nothing. Acting is nothing. And I look at a picture here right now. Obama open to meeting with Iranian leader. And they've got a picture here of Hassan Rouhani, the face of evil in the eyes of the devil. Did you look at this picture? It was in USA Today and many other papers. And I'm holding it here in my hand. Just look at the eyes. Just look at the eyes of this man. And I think, honestly, you are looking at the face of evil. And Obama's going to sit down, and I would be more than willing to bet, capitulate and give in and kowtow to this man. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436. I heard your microphone open up, I swear.
Well, I was going to comment on this Obama on Iran, but I want to do some reading first before I comment.
Oh. Well, I after watching Naghmeh Abedini this morning, and you know I had her on my program about, 6-7 weeks ago?
Yes.
And it was so heartbreaking to hear her talk about her 2 children this morning on Fox News New York. And the interviewers asked her about how the children were doing, and she said, actually, I'm doing much, much better than they are. They want their daddy home. They're 7 and 5 years of age. They don't know what their daddy did wrong to be put in prison just by trying to help other children with an orphanage. And she's not getting anything but lip service from these so-called politicos. Yep. And why won't the president? And this is something that just boggles my mind. It's not like, Gina, we have hundreds to deal with that are in captivity right now. Why won't the president just look at this man and say to Iranian President Rouhani, that's it. We want the man released today.
I don't think he's going to do it.
I don't either. And that's so sad.
I know.
And yet, most of America doesn't seem to care either. There's no outrage. There's absolutely no outrage. The other day, when we were over at Rupert on the Square doing the POW-MIA Recognition Day, I just made some comments off the cuff regarding Bo Bergdahl, United States Army Bo Bergdahl, overseas. Nobody knows where. Nobody knows how he's being treated. Nobody knows about his captors and what he's managing to do or say or how he's living. And here's Saeed Abedini, a pastor trying to help and serve other people, a great Christian man, living on the floor of a cement cell, being beaten. He's got injuries that are life-threatening. Sentenced to 8 years in a horrific prison for doing nothing more than serving mankind.
Yep. And
where's the outrage? Where is our president? Where's the Secretary of State, John Kerry? Where are all the politicians? Where is everybody saying, let that man go now? There isn't any. There's no outrage. I just don't understand it.
I think maybe, and this is just my own personal opinion, that we as the populace need to speak loudly, yell louder, and say, you, Congress, you, Mr. President, work for us, so you guys have to do what we tell you to. And we are asking, begging, and pleading, please go and bring our people home.
Yeah, now, let me ask you this. How many times on the news, and you follow the news, we have to follow the news.
Yes.
How many times on the news have you heard Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid say, let Pastor Abedini go, and please, right now, no more baloney, let Bo Bergdahl go? How many times have you heard that?
None.
Okay. How about John Boehner?
None.
That's my point. Where is the outrage for American citizenry?
Why is our Idaho elected officials not bringing this to the attention of Congress?
Why is it that they can sit there and run for re-election and say, well, I want to repeal Obamacare. I'm fighting to repeal Obamacare. I'm fighting for your rights. I'm fighting because I'm your conservative. I don't give one rip about all that balderdash. I want effects that are going to work to help us and these people that are being held captive.
I honestly do not think that they're fighting to protect our rights. I think they're fighting to take away our rights. I don't think that they're doing what's best for the American people. They are not doing anything for the American people at all. They're serving their own special interest, period.
To stay in office.
Yes, we've got a phone call.
I got a phone call, but I got to do a quick commercial. Stand by, caller, please. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with a huge, really big tire sale going on right now. I mean, like the light truck SUV Terramax tire starting at just $89.99, and the light truck SUV Wildcat AT2. Ooh, that's a ripping good tire. And also the passenger car tire, the Ultra Z900. All the tires are on sale. Shocks and struts, batteries, front end alignments, the best in brake service at all the locations. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline in Twin Falls, Randy on Overland and Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got a minute left. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hi. We heard a little article about getting Bo Bergdahl home somewhere earlier in the summer, and then nothing has happened again. And that's always how it is. Oh, we think we've got it made, and nothing happens. And this is sad, the way we treat these people.
But isn't it outrageous that basically they're human pawns? And yes. I know I'm very hawkish and I'm very upfront, but I honestly think our president needs to walk in like Matt Dillon in Dodge City and say to President Rouhani of Iran, that's it, dude. We want them released right now. No more garbage. Let them come home.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to plead with them at all. I think it's going to have to be a strong statement.
I could not agree with you more. You know, this nice guy capitulating, cowardly, bow at the hip, we're sorry for past transgressions. What's that got us, Linda?
Not a lot that I can see.
Yeah. God bless you for your call. I'm glad you gave us a jingle. Always good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you Thursday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You're going to sing the national anthem. I love it. By the way, I just finished one of the greatest books I have ever read in my life. And tomorrow I'm going to feature some of that book on the program. We had the author on our show about 2 months ago, and I want to talk to you more about that book. It just made me cry at the end of it because I'm so proud to be an American. I'll be back in 6. Linda, God bless you. See you Thursday. Thank you so much. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 2 on a Monday. And supposedly it's going to be kind of a nice day today, around 70 degrees for a high, we hope. And good morning. Welcome back. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and embrace. Western Waste Services is lending a hand.
Always at your disposal is right, and don't forget, I keep telling you, and when we had Kelly on the phone with us not too many weeks ago, he mentioned, too, they've got dumpsters in various sizes, so like if you're cleaning out the garage, kind of getting ready to store all the pellets for the wood stove and everything this winter, hey, be sure and call and get one of those dumpsters in various sizes, just what you need to clean up and get rid of all the trash. They are so helpful for you, and then when it's all filled up, they'll come get it. You better believe it. Western Waste Services, and don't forget they've got all the porta potties, and they've got the excellent service on the trash pickup every week. Oh my goodness, yes, call 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Ladies and gentlemen, also, like I say every day, I'm just very happy to have Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street, on our program over in Rupert with the owner-manager, Joel Heward. Locally owned and operated and always serving you with the highest of ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They really care about you and your family. And they pledge to serve you as you would like to be served and treat your loved one as you would like your loved one to be treated. These are absolutely wonderful people serving you at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Well, it is Monday. And that means I get a chance to talk to an old buddy of mine back in Colorado, and he's riding the crest of knowing that his Denver Broncos are one of the best football teams in the NFL, and I'm riding the bottom of the ocean right now with the Packers 1-2. Good morning, Frosty. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb. And I watched the Packer game, and at 4:37, going 6 inches for a first down, and all of a sudden, that guy, I forget which back it was, but he only had one hand on the ball going into that 6 inches to get a first down, and he fumbles it, and then they pick it up and go all the way. I just groaned all over. I hurt for the Packers and I hurt for you. That was just a horrible fumble.
Yeah, but wait a minute. If you want to go get the guy's autograph and meet him, you can meet him in Denver, Colorado today. He's now working as a greeter at Walmart.
Well, it was just incredible. It just, boy, what a deflation. The Packers are winning, and they're gonna, all they needed was just a first down and just keep the clock running. And I remember it was 4:37, and that kid he just coughed up the ball going over that pile. Oh my gosh, but everything happens and anything can happen, and that's what happened. So.
How would you like to be sitting in on the offensive meeting today, this morning, and be the guy that did that? I guarantee you will not see him next week. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can't have a back that's going to do that kind of fumbling. Also, I know Aaron Rodgers he's kind of, he wishes he was 6'4". He's only 6'2", and it's a sore subject with him. And I've always enjoyed, I've been 6'2.5" my whole life, and I've never thought much of it. It's just what I was gifted with as a kid, lucky lotto, I guess. But he got those big 6'7" guys on both ends there. Those defensive ends were batting down his balls left and right, his passes, and he's got to get a little more mobile, or he's got to start watching very quickly who's coming in on him, because he's not tall enough to launch that ball over a 6'7" defensive end.
Frosty, I wanted to ask you some about the news that's going on today, and I think, and I'm just going to say this, and I mentioned it first hour, we've lost our bite. Our country has lost its bite. We are a gumless, toothless dog that doesn't do anything to stand up for our allies or ourselves. And now we have a president that's supposedly going to be meeting with Iranian President Rouhani. And instead of sitting there and looking him in the eye and making demands and saying this is the way it's going to be, I'm betting you that there will be capitulation and bowing and kowtowing. I just don't think this administration has any bite left. What are your thoughts?
Well, you noticed in the Nairobi attacks over the weekend, killing, I think, 39 people, I think 2 or 3 of the Muslims were American Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shows you, and that was right there in the news. In fact, David Muir reported it on Saturday and Sunday. And it's really quite frightening to realize that these Somali Americans who've immigrated to this country are fanning back out and going back over into Africa and becoming terrorists themselves as an American terrorist. And here the President of the United States won't even speak about it. And you also you see all these Muslims that are killing all these Christians and absolutely forcing them out of the Muslim-dominated countries. It makes you wonder. And of course, I listened to Robert Spencer this morning, and he says it's so incredibly ironic, if not sad, beyond comprehension, that the United States is toothless, that the United States is gumless at this point. And the tragedy is we've stretched ourselves so thin, and we're now so fractured, and we don't have a plan. Mm-hmm. There's no plan about the outcome of any kind of a Syrian attack by the Obama administration. So it's by and large, you're exactly correct. We have lost our bite, for sure.
You know, we have a Boise pastor. You've probably heard about this very sad story, Saeed Abedini, who has been held in an Iranian prison, beaten. He's almost died on a couple of occasions because of his beatings. And the only thing he was doing was in Iran to help build an orphanage for the homeless children over there. He is a former Iranian himself, former Muslim turned Christian. His family still lives there. The government had given him permission initially to start this orphanage, and now the Iranians threw him in prison, and they're beating him. His family lives in Boise. His wife is begging the Iranian administration to let him go, and I will bet you that Obama will not say or do anything when he meets with President Rouhani.
I would concur. What you're seeing here is a lack of a plan. You're seeing a lack of leadership at the highest levels, and I think the confusion is obviously showing itself, and the boldness of the attacks that are going on. And one of the top experts that David Muir interviewed over the weekend said these Somali Muslims that are now American Muslims could come back here and do the same thing that they did to the shopping mall in Nairobi. And he said that was quite sobering, if not frightening, for the American people. And, of course, no one talks about the fact that we just keep importing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Somali Muslims into our country. I don't understand. And, of course, I wrote a 19-part series on Muslims in America and around the world, and how they're infiltrating first world countries, and they are creating major consequences. Train bombings, subway bombings, schools are being completely inundated, and literally this is going to continue and it's going to get worse. One thing about those numbers, as the numbers go up, the antagonisms grow and commensurate to the numbers. And so we are really putting ourselves in horrific jeopardy here.
Yeah, but you said it very succinctly on a program back in June, and I referred back to my notes, back in May, and I referred back to my notes, and you had made emphatic requests that we go on a quota system for importation of people from other countries, and we also know much more about them. What is so hard? What is so difficult to go with a quota system? What is so hard to find out who's coming in, why they're coming in, what their purpose is, what their dedication in life is? I want to know, because we're importing problems that could kill us.
That's exactly correct, and those problems are going to kill us. As the Islamic Sharia law becomes more entrenched in America, in places like Detroit, where it's now operating quite proficiently, it's a country within a country. It's a law system within a constitutional republic. And we've done it to ourselves. We've sat here for the last 20... there were only 100,000 Muslims in this country in 1991. And now we have well over 7 million. Wait till it gets to be around 20 million. I guarantee you this. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is under siege, and the Islamic conquest is now really entrenched in places like Belgium. Belgium is going to become a complete Muslim country, Islamic country, before the 37 years from now, before 2050. They've run out all the Belgianese. Paris, France, is in deep, deep trouble. The United Kingdom and right now, London, England is two different countries. It's an Islamic country with 2.4 million Islamics, and the rest are British. But the British just flee any quarter where the Muslims have taken over, and they just keep outbirthing them, 6, 7, 8 kids. And so we're facing the same thing. And one of the tragedies is with this 744 bill, the Senate amnesty bill. Mm-hmm. Actually, a guy named Carter and Johnson, Sam Johnson, and another guy named Congressman Carter from Texas. They said, and I'm repeating this, they're not going to be a part of this 744 bill because it's literally inundating us. And they said, and I quote, "We want to be clear. The problem is politics. Instead of doing what's right for America, President Obama time and again has unilaterally disregarded the U.S. Constitution, the letter of the law, and bypassed the Congress, the body most representative of the people, in order to advance his political agenda. We will not tolerate it. Laws passed by Congress are not merely suggestions. Regardless of the current atmosphere in Washington, laws are to be respected and followed by all, particularly by the Commander-in-Chief," unquote. This Commander-in-Chief is not abiding by the U.S. Constitution. He is absolutely contradicting the U.S. Constitution. He's breaking the U.S. Constitution. There are some very strong reasons why he is in treason. He is committing treason in the office of the presidency, and hopefully they have enough people with enough gumption to bring possible impeachment proceedings against him, because I've seen it around the internet. So we're not having our country and our Constitution honored by those who are sworn on a Bible to uphold the Constitution and to protect the American people, period. That's what's going on, and that's what the Obama administration has done to us.
I want to talk further about that comment right after I have this commercial break. Frosty will be right back with you. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. When you need the safety and security of knowing what's safe for your family, your business, etc., they can help. Please give Dean and Todd a call today, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. They're located in Rupert, right there on Highway 24, in Rupert. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Please take my advice. Call them today and make sure that they're focused along with you on a very successful future. Also, don't forget Burley Glass with Gentle Ben and the crew at 1029 Overland in Burley. They've got all the atrium windows, and don't let the warm air get out into the cold or vice versa. Please check out the windows. Great installing of vinyl windows to increase your energy efficiency of your home by at least 2 to 3 times. Call Gentle Ben today, 678-1459. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, Frosty, you just made a comment about the Bible, and the other day I was incensed when I listened to Democrat from Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen when he basically ran down conservatives in a lump sum statement and said that we're probably all having our guns sitting right next to our Bibles on our nightstand. In other words, criticizing people for having faith and criticizing people for having guns to protect ourselves in rural areas, and it's this face of the Democratic Party that wants the government to be the do-all, catch-all, and be-all for people that sickens me. And this comment by him led me to think that there's another one, there's another liberal that wants to take all of our rights away.
Well, again, if you go back to the founding of this country, all the guns were in the hands of the British, and we were subjects. We were a colony, and we were completely they were merciless toward us. We had no choice. And finally, men like Paul Revere and certainly Samuel Adams stood up and said, hey, enough of this. And then George Washington led all of us bandy bunch of pioneers with our long rifles and our muskets and saying, enough of this. And the one reason that Jefferson and all of the founding fathers said that we will have a Second Amendment rights because we want to protect ourselves from the tyranny of the government. The tyranny of the government. I, at no time in all my life, have seen more tyranny of our own government than this last administration and the present administration. I mean, we're sending these kids off to these endless wars. Iraq, a totally unfounded war based on lies. And now you're having all of this, we're immigrating all of these people into this country that are counter to everything this country stands for, and we think we're going to come out all right. And then we think that taking away the guns from citizens, I guarantee you, with the Navy Yard killings over the weekend or last week, or with this Alexis guy, I mean, doesn't somebody wish they had a gun to take him down rather than wait for all of the SWAT teams to come in? Doesn't somebody wish that they had guns in that Nairobi Mall, for God's sakes? The one freedom that we need and must maintain is the right to own and bear arms to protect ourselves against the tyranny of the government and certainly the tyranny of those who would try to harm us. If we lose that, we will lose this constitutional republic.
Well, you just made a comment, and I said this last week on the air. I think I said this last Thursday or Wednesday. I said gun control actually contributed to the deaths of the Navy shipyard personnel. It was gun control that absolutely acted as a force against our innocent people, because had they had loaded weapons on the base, they could have took that man down immediately.
Well, that's exactly correct. The same thing happened with the Nadal killings and shootings at 40-odd people that were
absolutely
up with Major Nadal, the
absolutely
Islamic major in the U.S. Army, who was a nutcase, and of course political correctness made sure that no one could speak up against what he was talking about, what he was saying, all the stuff that he was doing. We are politically correcting ourselves down into a really dangerous abyss. Because we're afraid to stand up for what we would have normally stood up for 40 years ago and say, hey, this guy's a nut job. Let's get him out of the Army. Let's get him under surveillance. Let's get him out of here. Instead, they kept promoting him right up to the point of major. And even with all the stuff he was doing, everybody's terrified to have any kind of racial context. You're a racist or whatever. And this guy goes off and kills all these people. You know, and the thing is, all the people, he killed, 13, and he injured 42? I can't remember the numbers. All those people got to be victims. Well, someday, each and every one of us has a very good chance of becoming victims, too, because we're becoming so politically correct that we won't talk the truth. We won't say the truth. And last week, I said it. I'll stand on the side of Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and Sam Adams and those guys before I'll stand on any... I couldn't even stand near Barack Obama, because I know the guy is absolutely he is counter to everything I hold holy when it comes to the U.S. Constitution. That's where I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand with Samuel Adams and George Washington, not Barack Obama.
Did you ever, and we're the same age, did you ever anticipate that in our lifetime we would see the erosion, the decaying, and the destruction of our freedoms, of our being able to be individuals and keep our information private? And I was talking about the NSA earlier this morning and the criticisms that the general public is levying against the NSA for spying on us, knowing all about our credit card information, knowing all about our phone conversations, our texts, everything. Well, they've appointed an independent study group to really study the NSA, but the problem is, Frosty, the NSA appointed the independent study group.
Well, exactly, and then that's the fox guarding the hen house. One of the great tragedies in my lifetime is that this country was a cohesive, all-American country. We've now become multiculturalized to the point that we are fragmented linguistically, we're fragmented ethnically, we're fragmented culturally, and so you're going to see more and more of this country fragment because we keep importing 1 million, and if the 744 bills go through, we'll be importing 1.5 million of these immigrants from all over the world every year. That's 100,000 per month right now, and it'll go up to well over 125,000. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to see more separation. That book I wrote almost 10 years ago, Immigration's Unarmed Invasion, Deadly Consequences, was based on the 8 points of Governor Lamb's speech on how to destroy America. If anyone reads that book, they will see how fast this is happening, how fast we're fragmenting ourselves, our culture, our language, and our cohesiveness. And that is now fulfilling itself in the disjunctive, fractured aspect of our society right now, where we can't get anything together. We got to be politically correct because there's so many people pulling for their ethnic group, pulling for their language, pulling for their culture, that the United States can't even maintain its own culture. This is a phenomenon of the 21st century, and it will be the final blow for the unification of what I would call the dis-United States of America. We are disunited rather than the United States of America, and it's because we cracked our culture, we cracked our language, and we cracked our way of life by introducing so many foreign factors to it that is no longer the American way of life. And I've seen it in my lifetime, and you have too.
Short answer to this quick question. Can we honestly bring it back? I have a slogan on this program, Frosty, at the end of the show that says, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Can we turn this thing around?
At this point, I'm not optimistic for that, but the only way that we have a chance to regain the American culture, the American English language, and the American way of life is to stop mass immigration. And again, the two organizations that I want everyone to join is CAPS, CAPSWEB.org, CAPSWeb.org, and become a faxer of these pre-written letters, and NumbersUSA.org. If we don't collectively come together, we don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of maintaining our country or getting it back at all. Because when you keep flooding in 1 to 2 million people every year, legally and illegally, that have no concept of the Constitution, no concept of English, no concept of the American culture, then you're going to have a fragmentation of our entire way of life in our country. And that's the way it is. And also, just to let you know, I'll be out of town next week. I won't be on next Monday with you, but I'll be back for the rest of the year and, of course, right through the winter.
All right.
So, yeah, I bet you I'm speaking the facts as I see them, and I'm pretty sharp at this. If we continue on this path, Zeb, we ain't going to make it through the 21st century as the United States of America.
I have a tendency to agree with your statement, and I always appreciate your visits with us on Monday. God bless you, man. We'll miss you next week, but we'll have you on the week after. Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. See you later, buddy.
God bless, Zeb.
Thank you. Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Very, very good friend. Hey, don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459, and they can save you money at Ramsey Heating and Electric. 678-0459. Contact Ramsey Heating and Electric today. Ladies and gentlemen, also, I want to remind you that Scow's CarQuest Centers are going to be coming back on the air with a auto show starting next week in October. And send me questions that you want to find out about your car care or your pickup care or driving. Anything you want to find out about going into the fall and into the winter for safe driving with questions about your vehicle. Send them to me, zebAtTheRanch@hotmail.com, and we'll have the answer man, Jeff Poole, on our program with Scow's CarQuest Centers. That's coming up in October, so send me some of those. Zeb Bell, zebAtTheRanch@hotmail.com. I'll look forward to getting those. We're going to have our next guest on the program momentarily, so stand by. Don't forget all kinds of super savings at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley, with the best of carpet. I'm talking about the Smart Strand carpet. Oh, my goodness, I have seen this myself. We had a 10 by 12 piece of carpeting out in one of my horse's corrals, and he literally lived on it for almost a month. Then they took it, cleaned it, and it was just like absolutely new. You're not going to believe it. Absolutely the best of lifetime stain resistance, lifetime anti-static, 25 years abrasive wear, 15 years texture retention. This is quite a carpet. Smart Strand carpets right there. Rolls and rolls of it at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. We're going to be going to the phone lines in just a moment and visiting with Matt Bowman with the Alliance Defending Freedom. I want to give another quick reminder. We are going to have our lunch bunch this Thursday at 11:30 at Perkins Restaurant. Perkins Restaurant in Burley. Everybody be there. I said it first hour. I'm going to say it again. We're going to start at 11:30. I want everybody to be there. We're going to have some special birthdays that we're going to acknowledge. So that's again at Perkins Restaurant in Burley this Thursday, lunch bunch at 11:30. 2:30. Let's go to the phone and say good morning to Senior Legal Counsel Matt Bowman with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Matt, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb.
Nice to have you back on the program again, sir. And, boy, Matt, daily we're seeing more of the repercussions and more of the dangers and pitfalls of Obamacare. And you're working directly with some of these pitfalls with a company that basically might have to shut their doors if they don't pay the fines, nearly $3 million per month in fines if they don't go against their Christian convictions. Tell us a little bit about this story, would you please?
That's right, Zeb. This is a case of a Mennonite Christian family in Pennsylvania. It's a case that the U.S. Supreme Court is likely to resolve in the next few months. This is a family that their father built this business almost 50 years ago. Next year will be their 50th anniversary. They make kitchen wood cabinets, and they have been a great success. They treat their employees very well, but the government, through Obamacare, is insisting that this family provide items in their employee health insurance plan, items that can cause the destruction of a very early human embryo, human life. And this is a case that we had to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court last Thursday and ask the court to take this case to restore religious freedom for Americans, because the government is taking the position that if you and your family are trying to earn a living in business, you have no religious freedom. Well, interestingly, on the same day that we filed our petition, the government also asked the U.S. Supreme Court to resolve this question. So it's very highly likely that because the courts disagree on this question, and because the government and the plaintiffs all think the court should take the case, that it likely will take the case in a matter of a few weeks, and then hear it sometime early in 2014.
Matt, I'm a real simple person when it comes to what's right is right, wrong is wrong, black is black, white is white. And so you're going to have to kind of guide me through this a little bit. I was absolutely stunned when the Supreme Court said that Obamacare would be legal in its sense and that it would be mandatory for everybody to have to pay into it. To me, that's nothing more than glorified socialism. I think it's going to be the demise of private insurance companies. I think it's going to be the demise of private insurance coverage. I think it's going to end up in a single-payer system, basically government control, government issued. And I'm very worried about all the exemptions that this government has given certain beings, certain individuals, certain groups, and yet they're cracking down on someone like this client of yours saying, you either pay it, you do it our way, or we're going to charge you millions of dollars in fines. This is asinine to me.
That's right, Zeb. And what we have in this situation is federal bureaucrats deciding what faith is and who can exercise faith, and then declaring that, well, you're not allowed to practice religion in a business because we, the government, have declared that business and healthcare and other areas of human life are out of bounds for religion. People don't have freedom in those arenas. The government is taking those over, and they're pushing religion to the outer boundaries of those areas of human life. That is something that is incompatible with the First Amendment, with the principles of the American founding, and we think that that's why the court will hopefully take the petition that the Hahn family filed through us last Thursday in order to resolve this question and to once again restore the truth that all Americans, including families doing business, can be free to live and do business according to their faith.
What's going to happen here? Obamacare, in my opinion, Matt, is going to fall apart at the seams. Unfortunately, I think it's going to go ahead and be funded. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see some severe mandates inside Obamacare that we're not even aware of right now. I think we're going to see this whole thing destroy health insurance companies across the United States. I think we're looking at a huge debacle, and then everybody's left out in the cold. Everybody's left out in the cold. What are your thoughts? I mean, this is a very insidious plan, and I have nothing good to say about Obamacare.
Well, I agree with your being disturbed at the ruling from the Supreme Court last year on Obamacare. What that case did is it basically said, look, we're not going to strike down Obamacare in its entirety. we're gonna let it go in principle. But what it did is it opened the door for little battles against Obamacare, piece by piece by piece, in all the different ways that these federal bureaucrats are imposing their own desire in the lives of Americans, even on their religious freedom. These are battles that we're going to be fighting piecemeal. The good news, Zeb, is that these are battles that many of them that we can win on a piece by piece basis, and we at Alliance Defending Freedom are committed to continue fighting to win those battles, especially where Obamacare conflicts with the sanctity of human life and religious freedom. Now, I would hope, Zeb, that once the American people realize how all these piece-by-piece infringements of their freedom are coming from Obamacare, that there might be some movement in order to try to challenge the whole premise that federal bureaucrats get to pick and choose what our freedoms are.
Mm-hmm.
But we at Alliance Defending Freedom, I certainly am hoping that as we win these battles, we can highlight how the freedoms of the Hahn family, the freedoms of other Christians throughout the country, are being curtailed in so many different ways by Obamacare.
Is there, and this is a very naive question, so pardon me, Matt, but is there any way that they can opt out of this mess with Obamacare looming over their shoulders? Is there any way they could open up a private policy, a pool, if you will, with the employees, with the employer acting as the coverage, if you will, in case something devastating happens? I mean, is there any way to skirt the issue with Obamacare?
There's not. I mean, Obamacare is a comprehensive takeover of freedom in these areas of life relating to employment and health insurance and your individual family's desire to earn a living for itself and also protect your family's health. So Obamacare has a lot of moving parts, and it hits people and it infringes on their freedom in different ways depending upon where you are. But nobody is entirely unaffected by it. And so for the Hahn family, for families who are trying to earn a living in business, you can't just provide good coverage yourself because Obamacare is the federal government declaring that anytime you do something like that, you got to follow the rules of the bureaucrats who want to decide even what your faith is and who can practice your faith. And then, so you can't just go out on your own because you'll get penalized for doing that too. And so that's why we need the Supreme Court to take this case and to draw one line in the sand that we can hopefully build on, maybe establish a beachhead, and that will be that religious freedom really does protect all Americans, including when you're trying to earn a living for your family business. And then once we have that beachhead established and restored, really, then we can move off of it from there. And we can also continue to try to protect people's freedom and the sanctity of human life from the threats of Obamacare.
You know, Matt, no matter where you turn around, and you see this more so than I do every day in your business, but and acting as a practicing lawyer and senior counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom, but every single day there's an attack on belief. There's an attack on religion. There's an attack on someone's right to practice their religion and live their religion, to the point where these attacks are just meant to minimize, destroy believers. Am I being far-reaching on this, or is that how you see it also, that religion is really, Christianity is really under attack?
It really literally is. Zeb, because what we're facing in these cases, the government declaring that not only should believers lose when Obamacare violates their faith, but they're asking the court to declare that religious freedom doesn't even exist in these areas of human life like education or healthcare or business. Pretty much there won't be anything left but religion inside the four walls of your house of worship.
Yeah.
And even there, you'll have the government knocking on the door and looking over the shoulder and through the windows. And this is sort of in the nature of Obamacare. It's a 2,000-page blank check written to federal bureaucrats to issue mandate after mandate after mandate, one after another, attacking the sanctity of human life and taking away religious freedom and picking and choosing even who can practice faith and when can they practice faith. That's what Obamacare is. That's what people meant when they said we have to pass it to know what's in it, because what's in it is federal bureaucrats making these daily decisions to take away people's freedom.
Absolutely. Wow. Matt, thank you so much. And please tell my audience where they can follow this case and others with the Alliance Defending Freedom.
Yeah, people can learn more about the Hahn family, can even watch a little video showing their family business and their attempt to defend freedom in this case by going to www.alliancedefendingfreedom.org, all one word, alliancedefendingfreedom.org, and people there can learn about the case, especially they can pray for the case, and they can support us so that we can come alongside not only the Hahn family but so many others, and we do this work for free. We're a nonprofit, and we do it in order to protect life and freedom and marriage and the family.
Absolutely. Senior Legal Counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom's Matt Bowman. And Matt, thank you so much, and our sincere best wishes to everything you're doing. We appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Little by little, step by step, insidious means are being used against Christians in this country to demonize and belittle their faith and their practice of their faith. And I think it's time, absolutely, and I'm saying this to all churches, I'm saying this to all leaders of all churches, it's time to stand up and not just keep turning the cheek. It's time to stand up before it is absolutely too late. We're there. We're there at the 11th hour. And I think it's time now to say, okay, I've turned my cheeks 37 times. I'm not going to do it anymore. And it's time to fight back and preserve our rights as Christians in this country. There's been such a revolt against us to minimize us and our beliefs that it's about time we stood up. It's high time, past time we stood up and said enough is enough. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's time for a weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com. And this hour it's brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Ryan Horsley, the manager. And don't forget Red's Trading Post in historic Old Town Twin Falls since 1936. And they'll also give you top dollar on trade-ins for your used guns. Stop in and check out all the guns, all the ammo, all the accessories at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers of MichaelRogersWeather.com. Got a wet week as far as weather is concerned. Sunny, 69 for the high, clear tonight, 49 for the overnight low. And then we've got rain from Tuesday all the way through Thursday night going into Friday as the first of many Pacific Northwest cold front storms be plowing through our area as we get through fall and winter, but this is how we start it all off. So you got a nice day today, and it's going to be wet for tomorrow all the way till Thursday night going into Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, bringing you this hour, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Got some time for some phone calls right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I understand we've had a quick changing of the guard over at our studio. Unfortunately, I understand that Kennedy took ill at school, and so Gina had to run down there to the school to take care of Kennedy. And I think we have the world-renowned Scotty there. Hello, Scotty. How are you doing?
I am having the greatest day of my life. How are you?
Well, not too bad. And by the way, it's always a treat to have you on the air, too, on occasion. Anything going on in your world that you'd like to amplify a little bit today? You've been busy the last couple of weeks.
I am. Can I brag a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we were at the Minidoka County Centennial Celebration, and Cat Country, we put together a Dutch oven crew to participate in the cook-off that they had.
Uh-oh.
And we took best number one overall.
Who was on your team?
Well, we had Chris Fox, we had Dwayne McFarland, and my buddy Tony. He helped out.
Now, Tony, wasn't he here at my house one night?
He was.
Yeah. And, okay, now you got to give me the menu. Tell me the menu. I'm going to take time and tantalize us a little bit. What did your cat crew decide that you were going to cook?
Well, it was a 5-pot contest, so our main dish was chicken cordon bleu and had a little lemon sauce to kind of go with it.
Ooh.
Then we had a spicy bean dish. prepared by Dwayne McFarland. We also had a bread that we had to do. Chris Fox put together some rolls with pepperoni and mozzarella cheese inside, served with a marinara sauce.
Oh, wait a minute. It's close to lunch, and I'm starving to death. Go ahead. Keep going.
And I prepared Budweiser potatoes.
Wait a minute. Budweiser potatoes?
Yeah, potatoes with Budweiser cooked in them.
For some reason, I think maybe if there's any leftovers, you should not walk, but run over here immediately.
Yeah, there you go. And then we also had a cobbler. It was a peach rhubarb with a kind of a caramel frangelico topping to it.
Now, you said this without never having a break or a slur of the words. You said this like you really are a Chef Boyardee.
Well, the only contribution that I made was, of course, logistics and the Budweiser potatoes. My family is a huge Dutch oven cook, so I relied on their experience and put together some stuff. So it was really nice.
Now, how many people did you have competing in this?
We had 5 different teams, as a matter of fact, and one of the teams that we competed with had a lady that had participated in the World Championship and an actual world champion.
Oh, my goodness, and you whooped them.
Well, I don't know about whooped them. The competition was really, really close, but we did well.
Now, I want to know who was selected as the judge or judges.
Well, I know our very own Senator Cameron was one.
Now, needless to say, if there's food to be served, I don't think you had to twist his arm in order to become a judge.
It's funny like that. When you have Dutch oven competitions and you need judges, people seem to come out of the woodworks for that.
I was not asked, but I certainly would have crawled through the keyhole.
That would have been good. That would have been nice. Judge Bowler was one of the judges. We had Mark Martin was one of the judges, and then there were a couple others. There was a lot of stuff going on, so I wasn't able to really pay attention to who was there, but quite a few good people there.
Now, is this going to turn into an annual event now that you're wearing your golden aprons with the sign that says champion on them?
Well, I'm not sure where it was the centennial. We'll probably have to wait for 100 years, and I don't know about you, but I don't plan on being around that long.
Now, I want to say that dessert again, because there is nothing, in my opinion, better than peach and rhubarb mixed together. I love that.
Yeah, and then they had kind of a creamy caramel frangelico topping, and they just...
Frangelico?
Yes, a hazelnut-flavored liqueur.
Oh, did you hear him say liqueur?
It's kind of like hazelnut in a bar, Nutella in a liqueur, so it was really, really good.
The next thing you know, you're going to have your own cooking show on national television. You're going to be the next Paula Deen.
Well, I really have to say thanks for that, but the one that really put things together and the 2 stars to our show were Chris Fox and Dwayne McFarland.
No kidding. I didn't know that you guys had it in you like that. That's fantastic. And you're the champions.
Yeah.
What did you win? I mean, do you get an all-expense-paid cruise to, like, the Bahamas or something, or what?
We have an all-expense-paid trip to full bragging rights.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've got a little bitty barbecue pit at the north end of my roping arena,
right,
and it's dug out just for Dutch oven. Now, if your team would like to come over and put on another example of their great enterprising ability to cook, I'd love to have you here.
A little food service exhibition.
More than just a little, sir.
It would be great.
No, I commend you on that. Especially the potatoes sound delicious. What was the meat? I forgot.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Oh.
Yeah, which is basically a fancy way to say chicken and cheese and breadcrumbs.
Yeah, but when you said it, though, you raised your little finger, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, the pinky.
Yeah, the pinky. You always have to say chicken cordon bleu with your pinky in the air.
Indeed, yeah, it was great. It was phenomenal.
Oh, my goodness. Well, congratulations to you. Now, how was the concert, real quick?
It was a great show. It was pretty good. They had it all out on the lawn, and it was a very nice, intimate setting. And I was happy to be there for Minidoka County.
Intimate setting.
Yeah, kind of on the lawn together. It was really, really nice.
Oh, man. Well, listen, kudos to you and our sister station, Kat. You put a lot of time and effort into it, and you've always been so gracious to help us with our projects here on K-Bar and everything. Thanks an awful lot for that. We appreciate it.
And speaking of, projects over here on K-Bar, ran into George Mass, and he was serving up some fine fare that night as well.
Oh, well, George has gotten... Have you seen that trailer?
I have. As a matter of fact, and it was Saturday night. It was the first time I was able to take a tour, and he showed me around. That thing is top of the line.
You have to pull that with a great big Kenworth. I mean, it's got like 75-foot tall aluminum stacks, and when he starts it up, he can broil about, 197 hamburgers at one time? That thing is big.
Yeah, it's a monster.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244. Give us a... Boy, that food sounds good. Chicken cordon bleu. And then that that peach and that rhubarb cobbler. Oh, let alone the Budweiser potatoes. Let's talk a little bit about Let's Ride. Now, they're closed on Mondays, but they're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and they're located on Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. And by the way, the weather is going to start to really chill off, and that means that if you haven't winterized your watercraft, you better do it right now, and don't wait. Don't put it off. Get it done now. And then also, don't forget they've got a lot of the 2014 snowmobiles coming in daily, and they've got a lot of the brand new 2014 ATVs in stock. I'm telling you, great service department, great sales staff. Everything is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop over and see them tomorrow, open Tuesdays through Saturday. I know another location, too, and then I'll take some of your phone calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244. Another location I want to talk to you about is a Child's World, and they're one of the co-sponsors of our Cassia County School Days every Thursday, and we certainly appreciate them. Don't forget, for all the Cherokee and Dickey scrubs and all the shoes, all the arts and craft puzzles, everything for the family enjoyment, all the top-quality games, toys, everything, all the baby items, everything is there at a Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And once again, I want to say thank you to them for being one of our sponsors, our co-sponsor of the Cassia County School Days every Thursday right here on Zeb at the Ranch. All right, now it's your turn. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Next hour, we are going to really delve into Obamacare. Now, we have coming up this next hour a gentleman by the name of Scott Hoganson that is going to be on. He is the campaign manager for an organization called ForAmerica.org. And we're going to go in with Scott about the possible defunding of Obamacare, the ramifications, repercussions about that. We're going to talk to him about if there's any way to change and transition Obamacare and get it back into a private sector type insurance program. This whole thing is a mess, and we're going to talk to him about that at 10:06 this morning. Then, at 10:30 this morning, we were very fortunate, and I never solidified it until about 7:30 this morning our time, 9:30 Atlanta time. We are going to have back on the air the doctor that everybody wants to talk about and talk to regarding Obamacare, and that's Dr. Elena George. So be sure and tune in at 10:30. Here is a doctor that lives Obamacare, knows the ramifications of it and the pitfalls and all the problems, and we're going to have her on at 10:30 this morning. So the next hour, we're going to basically devote to Obamacare. By the way, it's a good opportunity. I don't get a chance to visit with him very much. Scotty, what are your thoughts about Obamacare, this insidious mess that's causing America a lot of problems right now?
Well, you know, I've done a little bit of studying on this, and I've looked at all of the countries that now have socialized medicine, and it's not working. I even talked to a guy who was traveling back to England, and he had to have some dental work done while he was over there. And basically, all they do is just, that'll hold you for about a 6-month period. That'll be fine, And anytime you take the choice that I have to make for my family away from me, there's something seriously wrong with that.
So are you saying, and I think this is the gentleman you introduced me to at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, is that not right?
Correct.
Are you saying that there's a minimization of value as to whether you can or can't utilize the service of health care because the government is discerning as to how much and when?
Bureaucracy has no place in healthcare, and the government should not have any place in the way I choose to take care of my family. That's my choice. I'm the husband and I am the father. That is my responsibility, and I don't need the government telling me what I can do and what I can't do for my family.
And the thing that bothers me the most is because I do have some years on you, and I'm getting up there a little long in the tooth and long in the earlobes, is we're seeing some substantial, and you know this is true, some substantial cutbacks in services and also health care availability, and of course the price is tragic for our senior citizens.
Exactly. You know, and when you start looking at things, and it comes from a budgetary perspective and bureaucracies involved, well, you know, you've lived a pretty good life. Why don't we just go ahead and euthanize you, and then you won't be a burden on the system anymore.
Now, there were people, Scotty, that argued with me about, there's never going to be any reduction in health care. There's not going to be any panels that are going to choose as to who can and who can't have this surgery, etc. I can tell you right now, without mentioning names, that the surgery that is planned for my leg in latter November was one that they said you better get it now before there's a reduction in availability for that type of surgery.
You know, anytime we start getting, healthcare and government together, I mean, look at the VA, look at things that have happened there, and it's a lot better than it used to be. But anytime the government's involved, and you can't make those decisions, how do you make a protocol for life decisions for someone's family members?
Amen.
Look at the Terry Schiavo case. Look what started to happen with that.
Amen.
And that it was an isolated incident at the time, but I think with this Obamacare, you will see that become more and more prevalent.
I couldn't agree more, and very well stated, and thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do right now is take about a 6-minute hiatus. I'm going to just sit here and kill flies. That is my mission in life in the studio for the next 6 minutes, and we'll be back with more, especially with Scott Hoganson coming up with foramerica.org at 10:06. We'll see you in a few minutes. God bless. Stay tuned. Well, we were a man on a mission during that break with our trusty fly swatter. Good morning, everybody. Back at the ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and our thanks go out to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland Avenue in Burley, and, of course, our friends at Western Way Services. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. We're going to have our guest on the program in just a moment. Stand by. I want to talk about some good eating right now at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. They've got a luncheon special every Monday through Friday for just $5.95, and then they've got senior citizen dinner specials Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95, and that special today is taco salad with a cup of soup. Going to be good eating, as it always is. Nice people, great atmosphere at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Really good folks. And also, don't forget, too, I want to highlight the fact of our friends at Sportsman's Warehouse. I love that store. I spent a lot of time there. The great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls with our old buddy Reese Widmeyer. Don't forget, they've got quality gear, the best of experts, and, of course, a down-home attitude serving you at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls. Let's go to the phone lines right now and say good morning to a gentleman representing as campaign manager for America.org, Scott Hoganson. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Zed. I'm great. I hope things are good with you, too.
Well, they are, but we all have a worry, and that's why I'm glad to have you on this program. As we inch closer and closer to the full implementation, if you will, of Obamacare, we're starting to find out more of the insidious values that were hidden in over 2,000 pages. I know that you're against Obamacare. I know that you're doing the best you can to overturn it. So bring us up to speed as to what your group, foramerica.org, is doing.
Well, just to sort of backtrack just a little bit, we were able to work successfully with members of the House of Representatives, specifically with John Boehner's office, the Speaker, and Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader. And we showed we were able to work to get a very united front in the House of Representatives on Friday when they voted to pass a continuing resolution that funds the entire government through mid-December and prevent any additional funding for Obamacare in perpetuity.
Now that bill has gone over to the Senate, and we don't yet know what Majority Leader Harry Reid is going to do. There's a lot of parliamentary shenanigans he can involve himself with. But I think that the bottom line for Republicans in the Senate is that if they hold together as a united front, they can prevent the American taxpayers from having to pay for this train wreck of Obamacare.
Now, Scott, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm just laying things out on the table for you to talk about, because no one hates Obamacare more than I do. But there's been a lot of people that have spoken out against the defunding of Obamacare. There's been a lot of people like O'Reilly and Hannity that said, oh no, it'll never happen, and oh no, the Republicans shouldn't do that because it might damage their chances in 2014. To me, that's a cowardly approach. I think what you're doing to force the issue is absolutely the best way to go. How would you respond to those naysayers that are scared to step out of the closet for fear that they might get the door shut in their face?
Well, there are a couple of things that I would say, Deb. First of all, it's important for the elected officials that people in Idaho or anywhere else send to Washington to do what they promised to do.
Absolutely.
Every Republican in Congress, senators and congressmen and women, all vowed to do everything possible to defeat Obamacare. So the very first thing goes to integrity. Do our elected officials have the integrity to go ahead and do what they said they were going to do? And if they do have that integrity, there's only one thing they can do. They can vote to make sure that the American taxpayers do not have to pay for Obamacare. Secondly, as far as the Senate is concerned, there was a vote in the spring regarding defunding Obamacare. It was actually in the form of an amendment that was offered by Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who I know you and all y'all's listeners up there in Idaho know very well. And that was an amendment to defund Obamacare. I believe it was back in March. Son of a gun, every single Republican, all 45 Republicans who were in the House at that time, voted in favor of the Cruz amendment. They all voted to defund Obamacare. Now, with Senator Chiesa from New Jersey, who's filling in the unexpired term of Senator Lautenberg, who died earlier this year from New Jersey, there are now 46 Republicans in the U.S. Senate. And if they've got the integrity that they promised voters they've got, they should all vote to continue to defund Obamacare. Or, in the parlance of the Senate, they should refuse to allow a vote on any bill that does not defund Obamacare. I know it starts to get a little bit weird when you get into the parliamentary tactics there, and it's filled with double negatives, and Congress being filled with lawyers primarily. I guess that's not not unexpected, but that's the bottom line. That all 46 Republican senators have to stand strong and oppose any vote that would include the funding of Obamacare. They did it once before. They should do it again.
Scott, are you surprised that the Republican Party has not done more to embrace and welcome into the fold, if you will, the Tea Party? This division, this split, this animosity has got to stop, and if we're going to have a unified voice and we're going to get rid of Obama and his policies, there's only one way to do it, and that's unification. What are your thoughts?
I think that there are a lot of Republicans who sort of stick their finger in the wind to see what direction it's blowing. Here's a case in point. Within a couple of hours after the House of Representatives voted Friday for a continuing resolution that also included the defunding of Obamacare along with the funding of the rest of the government, there were 3 Republican senators who just sort of popped up like mushrooms and said, I'm in favor of defunding Obamacare. So, it's like they're just trying to figure out which way the wind blows before they take any action. And that's really not what the conservative base is looking for. The conservative base is looking for people who are good to their words. They're looking for people who do what they say and, mean what they say. And I think that until Republicans in Congress understand that dynamic, I think they're going to be at risk. There have been a number of polls in the past couple of months that have shown historically low approval ratings for Republicans. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Republican analysts and Republicans themselves will say, oh, geez, our popularity is really, really low. I guess we need to move towards the center on these things. Well, when you've got popularity ratings that are less than half of your electoral base, it doesn't mean that you need to move to the left. It means they want you to move toward the right. They want you to move away from the left. That's what that's telling me. I mean, that's actually kind of politics 101, you know? If you don't have your base on board, you're not doing what you promised to do when they elected you. And I think that's one thing that gets lost in the discussion.
Well, and there's a couple of people I'm going to mention by name that absolutely, when they come on the newscast, I'm looking at them like they're getting dressed for a Halloween party. They're wearing two faces, their real one and their mask. And that's Cornyn and McConnell and Boehner and Cantor and Graham, and the list goes on and on. And I'm wondering, to go back and use part of your phraseology a minute ago, Scott, is there a conservative base right now that will show enough strength to stand up and be counted? That's what worries me.
Well, the Tea Party Patriots has done a very good job of doing that. I'm actually working with Tea Party Patriots and For America on this joint campaign. And the efforts that those two groups have put out over the past 2.5 months, I guess it's been now, has really been astonishing. When this effort first began in July, the Republican establishment looked at us like we had lost our minds or like we had three eyes or something like that. All of a sudden, by the time mid-September rolls around, you've got John Boehner and Eric Cantor saying, we support this effort. I mean, when I saw a quote from Eric Cantor saying, I support Ted Cruz on defunding Obamacare, you know, I about fell out of my chair. But it can be done. And I think that the notion that we have to somehow capitulate to the Democratic Party is just completely flawed at every conceivable level. When Republicans stick to their guns, when Republicans stand up to the things that they were sent to Washington to do, they win. It's just that simple. And I think that when it comes to trying to keep these Republicans honest, I can't think of a better, stronger group than Tea Party Patriots.
I agree.
There have been a lot of other groups who have been involved in this defund Obamacare effort, and I don't want to give them short shrift because they have done a heck of a lot of work as well. Heritage Action and Americans for Prosperity and a number of other groups, Family Research Council Action Committee, they've all been in this fight, and we've all had our dukes up for a long time. But we saw what can happen in the House when conservatives speak as one. And now it's time for conservatives to speak as one to every senator, saying, look, you voted once to defund Obamacare. It's time to do it a second time.
Absolutely. Scott, let me ask you another side of this question, though, and this deals with the American public and their perception of Obamacare. We are turning into a society of, gee, I wonder what the government can give me this month. And do most Americans have a clue or even care about the ramifications or the possible benefits or non-benefits of Obamacare? Are they informed, in your opinion?
Well, there have been a number of public opinion polls taken in the last few weeks, and the answer to your question basically are the American people don't really understand it. If they do understand it, they don't like it. And even if they do or don't understand it, they don't think it's ready to be rolled out and put into effect. And I'll give you some specifics on that now. Just last week, there was a poll taken by ABC News and the Washington Post. Not exactly conservative icons, right? Okay, according to their poll, 9 out of 10 Americans do not think that Obamacare is ready for prime time. They just don't think it's ready to be implemented. A couple of weeks ago, there was a CNN poll that pegged approval for Obamacare at 39%. 39%! I mean, if there was an election where the vote went 61-39, it would be a blowout of biblical proportions. There have been other surveys taken where about 40% of the people think that Obamacare has already been repealed. They don't even know if it's a law or not, you know? So, no, Americans don't know much about Obamacare. Very few Americans know what it means to them and what they have to do to obey the law. Even more people don't like the law, and even more people don't think it should be introduced or should be implemented. And that's why we're working so hard to defund it, and that's why we've had the success that we have so far in trying to make that a reality.
Scott, how does the Tea Party in general and the Republican Party, how do they just all of a sudden meet at center stage and kind of bury the hatchet and form a power base that could put the Democrats with their tail between their legs and send them scurrying? How do we do that?
That's going to be a really tough thing to do, Zeb, and the reason for that is because there truly is sort of a ruling class culture inside the beltway of Washington, D.C. Some people say that this is an exaggeration or not completely accurate, but, I've been in Washington a little more than 20 years now, and I can tell you without any hesitation at all that part of being a, quote, Washingtonian means that the media likes you. It means that you get invited to the right cocktail parties. It means that the gossip people will say nice things about you and the clothes you wear and, all that kind of thing. That really is part of the Washington culture. It just is undeniably so. And part of the problem is that a lot of Republicans don't want to be seen as beholden to the Tea Party or any other conservative organization like that because they want to continue to be liked. Okay, they want to continue to get the invitations to the right cocktail parties and all that stuff. But, I forget who it was that said it, but it is better to be feared than it is to be loved. And if Republicans are able to band together, to join together in unity, they can get things done that are going to scare the bejesus out of the Democrats and out of the White House. The problem is they've got to speak with one united voice. And until and unless we can encourage Republicans to do that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a tough road to hoe.
When you say this, Scott, I'm sitting here going, holy smokes, we're just literally months away from 2014. We're literally months away from seeing if we can hold the House of Representatives. We're literally months away to see if we can possibly take some seats away in the Senate. I'm not real optimistic with all the infighting that's going on that we're going to make any ground up and we're going to see a betterment for the American people, especially fighting Obamacare. What are your thoughts about 2014?
First of all, it's a midterm election, and generally speaking, you don't win midterm elections based on the independent vote or that squishy middle, so to speak, okay? When you're in a midterm election, you've got to go to your base, and you've got to say, okay, guys, it's election time. I know we don't have a president on the ballot or anything like that, and you need to get your base out. Now, the reason this is so important for Republicans, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, it's important for Republicans because already under Speaker Boehner's leadership in the House, we've seen Republicans cave in on the sequester. We've seen them cave in on cap and balance. We've seen them cave in on a number of large issues. They're very close to caving in on immigration. Now, if the Republican base looks at these representatives of theirs in the Congress and they see that they're just putting up a white flag on every single important policy debate there is, how energized do you think those people are going to be to turn out in November of 2014? They're not going to be very energized at all. They're going to say, well, what's the difference between my guy and some other guy who's going to do what I don't want? And so that's why it is critically important, I think, for all Republicans to stand firm on this issue because, I look at it this way, they can either campaign next fall by saying, I fought to defund Obamacare with every fiber of my being. I cast every vote I possibly could to defund Obamacare. And if you elect me, I'm going to continue to fight that. Or they can campaign saying, well, yeah, okay, I voted to fund Obamacare and, geez, I'm really sorry to hear about the horrible thing that happened to you, saying to the person who stands up in their town hall meeting, or the people who hold up angry signs at their rallies saying, you're a bum, you voted for Obamacare, and it's wrecking my small business, it's, making me pay more money for premiums. How do these men and women want to run for re-election? Do they want to run for re-election as heroes who tried to do what they promised to do and defund Obamacare? Or do they want to try to run for re-election defending their votes to fund this monstrosity? And I think that's a central question for every Republican. going into this midterm election.
Well, Scott, final thought here this morning and final answer, but I'm a simple guy to the point where if I don't like something or somebody, I'm not going to sit there behind the scenes and rail about how negative they are or their thoughts are so bad for the American public, and then after I leave the floor of the Congress or the Senate, go out and have a bunch of beer and a cheeseburger with them at night. I'm one of these guys that carries my feelings over 24/7. And you mentioned John Boehner. I think he's nothing more than a capitulator to the Obama administration. I think a lot of Republicans are that way. They'll talk nice and tough to the cameras, and then later they'll go out with the other side of the aisle and have a beer and a bunch of post-toasties after work's over. I want to see somebody that's going to represent the American people 24/7, and the heck with the buddy system on the Potomac. Am I wrong?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Jeb, and that's what For America and Tea Party Patriots are all about. You know, the media invariably try to couch this in terms of, you know, being a litmus test or a purity test or something like that. You know, and that's absolute bunk. All we're doing is saying, okay, we elected you. We conservatives from the grassroots of America elected you to Congress. Now, dang it, we expect you to do what you said you were going to do. Now, if making somebody tell the truth is a litmus test, if, you know, having somebody be good for their word is a litmus test, yeah, okay, I'm all for that. Yes, it is a litmus test that you must tell the truth. And if somebody wants to tag me with that, I'll take it any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
When you look at the entirety of Obamacare, final thought here, Scott, and all the hidden, absolutely hidden taxes and hidden meanings and hidden cash under the table for funding various other events, I wonder what's going to happen when this whole thing comes into fruition and the American public realizes what a debacle they've made out of their health care system.
Well, it's going to be an absolute catastrophe. I mean, it was Max Baucus himself from neighboring Montana, the Democrats who shepherded Obamacare through the Senate a couple, 3 years ago. He was the guy who said that implementation was going to be a, quote, train wreck. Those are not my words. That's not the Tea Party's words. That's Max Baucus's words. And yes, it is going to be a train wreck. It's going to be a disaster. And the people who are in the know really understand this. That's why you've got the unions who are going to the White House saying, give us an exemption. That's why you've got big business, which has already successfully gone to the administration and said, give us an exemption. That's why Congress itself has an exemption. That's another thing for people who are running on the ticket in the 2014 election. Are they going to want to run on a platform that says, I voted to exempt myself and my staff from Obamacare, but you guys out there in the audience at my campaign event, all y'all have to obey that law. I don't. I mean, I don't know about you, Zed, but that doesn't strike me as a winning campaign message.
Absolutely. Scott, you got to promise to come back. You're very eloquent. You know what you're talking about. You're direct, and I like that on this program. Scott Hoganson, campaign manager, foramerica.org. God bless you, my friend. Please come back in the future.
The pleasure's mine, Zed. Keep throwing punches.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Very interesting gentleman, and he knows what he's talking about with the campaign managership of foramerica.org, and we're going to have him back. I'm going to save this sheet and make sure that I get him back in the near future. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. We've got to tell you that Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer rebates, love that word, on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. As a Lennox independent dealer for over 48 years, they know the climate, they know the equipment, and they've done all the shopping for you. All you have to do is call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. That's 678-0459. Call them today, because at Ramsey's they sell warm winters and cool summers. Couple of public service things I need to mention real quick before we send it back over to our main studios at the bottom of the hour. As you know, the Postal Service has a review process going on right now to see which post offices may stay open or may be closed. Now, I'm telling everybody in the Murtaugh area right now that the meeting for discussing the Murtaugh Post Office is going to be at the Murtaugh High School cafeteria at 500 Boyd Street West in Murtaugh on October 2nd at 6 p.m. Don't sit back and gripe and complain if your voice isn't at that meeting, and don't complain if all of of a sudden you go to the post office and the doors are closed. You better be at that meeting on October 2nd at the high school. Also, real quick, my dear friend Carl Clark is going to be teaching art classes for beginners ages 10 years of age and older, and that's going to be, it's going to be starting at, what's the date today, the 23rd? It starts tomorrow on the 24th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in the Fellowship Hall of the Rupert United Methodist Church over in Rupert. For more information, contact 436-3354. And also be aware, if you haven't signed up for Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, you better do so because we're almost at our 100th edition, and we've got some great prizes that we're going to be giving away and drawing for weekly on our program starting in October. So be sure and register for Cow Pies and Coffee Cups. Go to zebbell.com, leave your address, and start receiving our weekly blog, our weekly newsletter, and you might become one of the lucky winners. We're going to take a little break and come back with Dr. Elena George talking more about Obamacare right after this break.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much. And we have been expecting to have Dr. Elena George on our program. And let me check. Is Scotty still running the board over there? Let's take a look. I
got her.
Oh, Gina. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate it. And by the way, before we go any further, more important than anything else, how's Kennedy doing?
Well, he is doing fine. I went to the school, had a little chit-chat with him, and he is A-okay to stay at school.
All right. Well, we were just concerned and hope everything's all right. We'll have Dr. Elena George in just a moment. Want to remind everybody the Drift Inn, 545 F Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes. Come on Thursdays and have a delicious, kind of a home-cooked meal by Chef Dave Haley. It's delicious, starting at 5 p.m. to closing. It's a meal just like Mom used to make. And they've also got live music on Thursday evenings. And don't forget, they've got lunch from 11 to 5 Monday through Saturday with daily specials. They've got dinner starting at 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday with nightly specials. It's a wonderful place. The Drift Inn, 545 F Street in Rupert. We will see you there. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, I've had many people all across the United States on this program talking about Obamacare and the devastating effects as to how it will affect us and our health care in the future. And I have the utmost respect for this lady that's taken the time out of her busy schedule to come back on the show, Dr. Elena George. Doctor, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Dr. George, where are we right now, in your opinion? We're seeing, as we draw nearer and nearer to the full implementation of Obamacare, we're seeing some of the insidious effects that you had warned us about a long time ago. Where are we on this kind of a yellow brick road to the land of Oz? Where do you think we are on Obamacare right now, and how bad is it getting?
That's a very good question. It's kind of hard to answer in one sentence. We're on our way, but I firmly believe, and I'm going to make a statement that's probably going to shock some folks, I think, but I think we're in a position as people in this country to actually stop this and actually put the brakes on this. And it's not for the reason that you think. It's not because Congress is going to help us. It's not because you're going to, your congressman is going to finally get a conscience and start following what his constituents want. It's because if we don't join these exchanges, then it cannot be funded. That's the whole reasoning behind all of these blocking of mandates and, delaying mandates. If you can see what's happening, it's happening the way they want it to. They want employers to drop coverage for their employees. They want people to be unemployed and have nowhere to go, so they have exchanges are the manna from heaven, which we're supposed to all run towards. Especially if you're young, if you don't sign up for these exchanges, then you cannot, the beast will not be fed. That's the whole purpose behind this whole thing, is to break the system, recreate it so that everybody's on a government dole, and then they get to decide and run single payer, Medicare for all. That's the whole purpose. Harry Reid has said it, the president has said it, Kathleen Sebelius has basically said it in her way. but they want ultimate power and control, and if we choose not to give it to them, then we win.
Dr. George, there's so many questions regarding this. You know what the Republican Party is trying to do right now, the vote in the House, and they're trying to also get that same vote in the Senate to defund Obamacare. There have been a lot of naysayers that said, oh, don't do that. Why, you'll never be elected in 2014, and they put politics ahead of policy. What are your thoughts about the possible defunding of Obamacare?
You know, I used to be a believer that I could depend on somebody in the Republican Party to actually do something and not talk about it. I think this is window dressing, to tell you the truth. They already know that it's going to fail Senate. They already know that the president is going to veto it. But the ultimate power of funding comes from the House of Representatives. They don't need anybody's permission. Just don't put funds in the pot for Obamacare. You don't have to have a bill to do it. They could do it if they really wanted to now. They choose not to. This is all about gamesmanship, trying to get back in 2014 and beyond, and trying to play chicken. But we're human beings here. I'm a physician. My patients are suffering now because these guys are all interested in getting back in power. We actually, and I'll say it again, we as people have more power than we give ourselves credit for. If you look what happens with Syria, when there was like a 9-to-1 calls against going into Syria, the government listened to us. You know, it does happen if we get up on our hind legs and stand up and make a voice that says we don't want this. We don't care who you are. The fact that you guys don't have to use it should tell people something, that they've opted out because they know how bad of a system this is. Why is it good enough for us but not good enough for them?
Absolutely.
And for those who think that it's going to be better, I've got news for you. It's already coming out that you're going to pay more. I've just seen a Medicare patient that I am no longer on Medicare for, and he already knew that he's having issues with doctors, his doctors who no longer take Medicare. And he's now in a system that he has to pay out of pocket for. This is only going to get worse under Obamacare.
Let me elaborate on that. I'm sorry, it cut out just for a moment there, Dr. George. I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on Medicare. And with your expertise, tell me if I'm wrong on this statement. I was reading some various articles regarding last year alone that the Mayo Clinic lost something like $840 million on Medicare patients and Medicare in general. And this can't continue because our healthcare providers are going to go out of business.
Oh, you make an excellent point. I forgot to mention that. Initially, it was supposed to be the hospitals got in bed with the government thinking that they were going to get money from Medicare, 30 million more people entering the Medicare or Medicaid system. So they made a deal with the government to take less money for various admissions, for various procedures, etc. Now they're reaping what they sowed, and there's an exodus of employees from various hospitals across this country. And you're right, they're losing money, they're shutting down, they're laying off employees, not just the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, you name it. Major hospitals are now downsizing because they can't afford it. And my answer is, welcome to my world as a solo practitioner. We've been dealing with this for the past 10 years. It's only gotten worse for us. Now they get to understand where we've been. And ultimately, the patients suffer because they're going to have less doctors to take care of them, less hospital, community clinic-based hospital locations that are open, longer wait times. It's a disaster. And not only that, but if you have an employment, I know that people are now working less, 29 hours instead of 30 hours a week. It's just ripples through the entire economy, and the people in Washington seem to be completely oblivious to it.
My dear Dr. George, I need your opinion on something this morning. I just this morning was reading Steve Forbes of Forbes magazine, and he outlined 7 key guidelines that should be a part of the GOP proposal to fight Obamacare. Let me throw these at you, and I'd like to hear your response. He said we must allow interstate shopping for insurance. What's your response to that first key?
I agree with that. You need competition so that you actually can drop the prices instead of these monopolies that go on.
And then he said give tax deductions for insurance premiums currently limited to businesses and the self-employed to everyone.
I agree with that. I like to go one step further. as a physician, what I'd like to see is if patients don't pay me, that I can write it off as a business expense. I'd be more likely to see patients for free or, not go after them to collect money if I could actually get, some sort of tax deduction for it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't cost anybody anything, but it puts a lot of patients, it gets them off the hook for owing doctor bills. But it improves coverage, and it actually improves care. Those are simple things that you can do.
Absolutely. And then he went on to say in his magazine piece this morning in Forbes magazine, and here's one I think I'd really like to hear your response to: prevent Medicare money from being used to fund Obamacare.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And they've already done it. They took $700 million out of the Medicare trust fund for doctor visits. I think it's the Part B, in order to fund Obamacare. They did that a couple of years ago. I'm sorry, $700 billion, I apologize. And that was already done. And they're doing it consistently. That's why they want these people on Medicare for All, so they can continue to raid the treasure trove and use it for other things, like, ads for people telling you how fabulous Obamacare is, or giving it to Planned Parenthood so they can become one of those navigators. This is where your taxpayer money is going. They're actually taking 1% from Medicare and putting it into hospice care. Okay, so it's not about acute care. It's not about treating you and getting you better. It's about warehousing you and palliating you until you die.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the government's spending its money on. I take offense to that, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. Dr. George, don't you think, though, that a major part of Obamacare's problems and the problem with implementation is us, the American people in general? Because, and I say this, when you have questions and answers to the 35 and under crowd, basically the numbers 35 and under in our society, they don't care. They have no clue. All they're looking for is a handout from the government, and they really aren't interested in the politics. That's the problem. We have become a naive society, and we're willing to take and accept anything. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And there was some sort of poll that came out that said over 50% of that generation want the government to do more to take care of them, which is a disaster. And as soon as the government steps in, it gets more complicated, it doesn't work well, and it costs more. I mean, they can't even get this exchange pricing off the ground. You can only imagine when you add all the people in there what a disaster that's going to be, how people are going to have their privacy just completely taken advantage of. It's not about health care. I'll say it again. It's about control.
Once you take this system that we have, independent system with different insurance companies, our own agent, everything, and you've discarded it and you've thrown it away for the entirety of Obamacare like a cancerous cell that's growing across this nation, can we ever get it back? I mean, once you've killed this system off, I don't see how we could ever implement a free choice system again.
It's going to be a two-tier system. Honestly, as long as they allow doctors, and they haven't done it yet, but they might, if they tie your licensure to taking Obamacare, they do that in Massachusetts, so I'm a little bit dubious that that's what's going to happen down the road. But unless they do that, there'll actually be a two-tier system. Those that can afford to actually get real health care will pay for it, and those that are unfortunately stuck in that, that gulag that you want to call Obamacare are going to get substandard health care. That's what and you're right. Once it's broken, it won't come back. And once they stop they've already changed training for doctors, and they're actually producing doctors now that have no problem with the system. I still am old school. I learned about the Hippocratic Oath and about doctor-patient relationship being sacrosanct, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my oath in order to be a doctor under the system. But those who have come behind me and those who are training now don't have any problem with it at all. 9 to 5, 501, they're home. There's doctors flooding in from other countries who are just happy to have a job. And they'll do whatever the government says. If they say jump, they'll say how high. And if they ask the doctors to get personal information, like, whether you tried to hurt yourself or how many people live in your home, they'll be happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not one of those. And I think there's plenty of them out there like me that feel that way.
The one thing that I would like you to elaborate on a little bit this morning is, and I never hear this, I never hear it from Obama, I never hear it from the Democrats, I never hear it from anybody on radio, television, or stories in the newspaper. What's going to happen, in your opinion, to our medical research, whether it's on cancer or whether it's muscular dystrophy or multiple sclerosis? What's going to happen to our invaluable research under Obamacare? I don't see where the money's coming from.
I think the research will be targeted. I think it'll probably be, and I say this with a little bit of, I think it's going to be about things that are used to control you, basically. There'll be plenty of research on vaccines. There'll be plenty of research on things that will make you have to do something under a mandate. So you're right. I don't think we'll spend a lot of money on curing anything. It will be more about medications that you can use to manage things. And that's what Big Pharma wants. They were part of the bill, part of the writers of this bill. It's not about health. It's not about prevention, really. It's about getting you into a system that you can't get out of and that you have to just pay into whether you like it or not.
And the people that I'm most concerned about, Elena George, right now are our senior citizens. I see them as almost a lost society to where nobody cares. It's almost like a hemlock society, and my heart goes out to what can happen to our seniors. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're not, and I actually feel exactly the same way. But if you look at this historically, Obamacare was the last piece of a bigger picture. This all started back in when Medicare was begun, back in the 60s, I believe, when they actually brought this online as part of the Social Security Act. It was designed to be socialized medicine for seniors. That's what it was, and that's what it is. So you paid into the system, and over time, it's become a Ponzi scheme. You pay in, that money's been used for other things, just like Social Security, and now they have too many seniors with not enough money. The scam now is to try to get as many young people in to pay for this system, but it's still not going to be enough, so they're trying to limit the resources, limit the treatment choices, put people into hospice and to palliative care to save money, and that's how they're going to run it. All you need to do is read the complete live system, written by Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ezekiel Emanuel. Look it up online, because it tells you where they want to spend their resources, between ages of about 16 and 40, 45. If you fall within that, you're working body, you're able to contribute, they'll spend the money on you. But anybody younger or older, they think that you're basically just taking up space, and they're not going to spend money on you. That's what they think. That's what this system is. They put a big picture on a lipstick on a pig, if you want to put it that way, to make you think that it's better than it is. But it's not.
One final thought here this morning, Dr. George, and I was criticized by a couple of callers a couple of weeks ago when I said that I think under Obamacare, many doctors may decide to leave the industry, if you will, and leave medical practice because of the inhibition of trying to make money or trying to stay in business. Your thoughts, was I wrong in saying that?
No, you're not wrong. I'm one of those physicians, and I've been practicing for 15 years. And if it comes down to me having to give up my Hippocratic oath to work against my patients, to be an agent of the government, then I will no longer be practicing medicine in America.
I want to say thank you so much. You gave up your time freely for me this morning, and God bless you, Dr. Elena George, Atlanta. Thank you so much for being on the program, and please know that I value your opinion. I'll be in touch with you in the future.
Please, I look forward to hearing from you and being on your show again. Thanks.
Thank you so much. What a lovely lady. Great doctor, Dr. Elena George, and she's so gracious. I got to tell you that I called her last week and caught her on her cell phone, and I said, please, can you come back? And she said, well, I've got a list of surgeries, and I've got some other things I have to do, but if you'll call me on the weekend, I'll try to schedule it for Monday. And she very graciously took our call, and I really value her opinion. She's had numerous writings that have gone all across the country, one of which I'm holding right here in my hand. It's called An Ode to the Role of Big Government, and it just goes through chapter and verse of describing exactly how bad Obamacare is going to be for the general public here in the United States. We've got to have a weather update right now, and the weather is brought to you this hour by our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems, through, of course, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And, of course, gas furnaces, air conditioners, or heat pumps right there with Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here now is Michael Rogers with a weather update.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Rogers of MichaelRogersWeather.com. Got a wet week as far as weather is concerned. Sunny, 69 for the high, clear tonight, 49 for the overnight low. And then we've got rain from Tuesday all the way through Thursday night going into Friday, as the first of many Pacific Northwest cold front storms be plowing through our area as we get through fall and winter, but this is how we start it all off. So you get a nice day today, and it's going to be wet for tomorrow all the way till Thursday night going into Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. This hour brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, right through our friends, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Whew, what a busy morning we have had, and not as busy as Gina's morning, running all over the country, but Kennedy's okay, and he's at school, and all is well on the home front.
Yes, sometimes you have to put it in terms, and I said, okay, well, you have a little football game tonight, so if you do not stay at school, then no football game. If you stay at school, then you can go to the football game, and he thought about it for a second. I feel okay now, Mom. I think I can go back to class.
Isn't it amazing how all of a sudden a bolt of light came through the window? It touched him on the forehead, and he thought, that football game is pretty doggone important, Mom. I think I feel like Superman.
And that's pretty much what it was, too. So I just had to go and have a little chit-chat and see if he was really sick, and no, he wasn't. So
yeah, but you know something? You did it. I tried to pull the same stunt, and it seems like our parents were always one jump ahead of us.
They were. You know what? Parents are smart.
Oh, yeah.
They've been there, and they've done that.
I can remember vividly that I did not want to take a certain test one day that I knew was coming. I was totally ill-prepared for it, and I took the old hooky to the point where I said, nope, I'm not going to go to school. Well, then the fishing trip that I had planned with my uncle that weekend up to Escanaba, Michigan, also was canceled.
Oh, because?
I had lied about coming down with a dangerous, deadly disease.
Uh-huh.
It's funny how when I sat at home that weekend doing chores when I could have been fishing on Lake Michigan with my uncle, it's funny how rotten I really did feel.
You know, and when given the opportunity, and okay, so option A, option B.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to take, kid?
But you know, we all tried that.
I know.
I did it 1,000 times.
I did too, and you know, honestly, I lived, growing up, I lived right across the street from the school, so it was easy for me to just go home, but I always had to call my mom first, and she would be like, okay, and she'd give me the rundown, and I'd be fine, I'll stay at school.
Yeah, but option B in my growing up was my mother saying, wait till your dad comes home tonight. And option B scared the you-know-what out of me to the point where option A was always much more acceptable.
And see, with that, I usually use Uncle Sean. Oh, wait till Uncle Sean hears about this. Oh, no, don't tell Uncle Sean. So Uncle Sean is usually my saving grace on that one.
Well, my dad used to come home. He'd go to work at 5 in the morning, and he'd come home at about 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon. And my mother would stand there looking at the clock, and it was like being on death row. You knew.
Her arms crossed and her toe tapping.
Yeah, and she said, "You just wait till your dad comes home. I'm going to tell him everything." And you're sitting there on the back porch, and you're kind of looking at the clock, going, "My life is over as I know it."
Yep, I'm sweating bullets.
And then you'd hear the pickup pull in the yard, and you'd hear the door slam, and you'd close your eyes and say, "I'm coming, Lord. Accept me, I'm coming."
So true. We've got a phone call.
Okay, good morning, caller. You're on the air. Oh, they're backing up.
They hung up.
No, I tell you, those words, wait till your dad comes home, that was enough to strike fear into me right there.
That's so funny. You know, I wish it was, oh, wait until your mom hears about this one, but no, I don't have that kind of power.
Yeah, Dad would come in the house, and he'd set his lunch bucket down, and my mother would go, Johnny, I've had enough. I can't take it with him anymore. And I just kind of sat there like a sheep going to slaughter, going, okay, do it to me. I've had it.
And he'd look at you and say, son?
No, he wouldn't do that. No, there was no talking. There was no talking. He was a man of action. And I'll let it go at that.
Okay.
And I didn't usually come down to dinner and sit.
You stood at dinner.
And painfully so.
Yes.
I've got to pay some bills here real quick. Oh, Les Schwab, of course, all the tire centers serving you right here in the Magic Valley. Oh, we've got 7 great locations with a huge tire sale going on with the light truck and SUV tire, the Wildcat AT2 on sale. And, of course, for your passenger cars, they've got the passenger car tire Ultra Z900. They've got tire sale going on all the tires you need for safe driving. So please stop into any one of the 7 locations today and check out also the brake service. When you put your foot on the brake and go, whoa, I mean, you're not going to be going here, there, and everywhere. They've got the best in brake service with a great brake value promise. Professionally trained technicians, over 30 years experience. All 7 locations serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and, of course, Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Let's see who's going to be on tomorrow. We've got, get my book over here real quick. We've got, we got an author of a brand new book that's out there. I can't wait to get a copy of it on how to save money. I need that one. And then we've got a great guest talking about gun control and what's going to be happening in this country now with the Obama administration and the United Nations. And then Gary Shorsman's going to be on talking about the Minidoka Centennial and others. So don't miss that tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Tune in at 8:06, and we'll ride the horse for 3 hours right here on KBAR 1230, and then stream live on the net, zebbell.com. Oh, and be sure and register for the cow pies and coffee cups. You might be one of the lucky prize winners, as we're going to have drawings every week in October. So there you have it. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. The way things were, or the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.